Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real today. You might be sitting there thinking, he's so quiet, he's moved on, he doesn't care anymore. But I'm here to tell you, don't be fooled by his silence. That man, he's still obsessed with you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me drop some truth on you right now. Silence from a man doesn't always mean he's moved on. It doesn't always mean he's done with you or that he's no longer interested. See, most people misunderstand what silence really means, especially when it comes from a man. That silence, it's not always about peace, and it definitely ain't always about indifference. Sometimes silence is louder than words. It's heavier than anger, and it's deeper than you realize. A man's silence can be a mask, a way to cover up what he's really feeling. Because when a man cares deeply and loses someone he values, he doesn't always come with the flowers, the calls, the long speeches. Sometimes he just shuts down. Quiet doesn't mean cold. It doesn't mean he doesn't feel. It often means he feels too much, more than he knows how to handle. You see, we men are taught from early on not to show too much emotion. We're raised to be strong, to keep it together, to not fall apart even when we're breaking inside. So when a man's heart gets hit, when he loses a woman who mattered, he goes quiet. Not because he doesn't care, but because he doesn't know what to do with the care. He can't show you tears, so he shows you nothing. He can't find the words, so he gives you silence. And you, on the outside, you think he's fine. You think he's moved on. You think he's out there living like nothing happened. But behind the scenes, in those moments when no one's watching, he's thinking about you. He's remembering the way you smiled when you saw him, the way your energy felt when you walked into a room, the comfort you brought just by being you. That silence isn't freedom. That silence is a prison. He's locked up in his own thoughts, his own regrets, his own should-haves and could-haves. Every time he scrolls past your picture, every time he hears your name, it stings a little. And no, he ain't gonna tell you that. He's not gonna send a long message confessing all his feelings, but he feels them. He just doesn't know how to show them. So he disappears, not because he stopped loving you, but because he doesn't know how to handle the fact that he still does. And in that silence, he hopes you'll think of him. He hopes you'll remember the good, not just the bad. He's holding on to those little moments, the ones you probably forgot, but the ones that still replay in his mind when the night is quiet. It's easy to believe silence means it's over, but with men, that silence is often the space where love still lives. It's just hidden under pride, fear, and confusion. He might act cool in public, laugh with his boys, post like everything's good, but when he's alone, when it's just him and his thoughts, that's when the truth hits. That's when he realizes you weren't just another chapter. You were the one he wished he wrote differently. You were the one he didn't know how to love right the first time around. And now, without you, he's left talking to the silence, hoping it'll bring him some kind of answer. So when you see that silence, don't assume it's a goodbye. Don't mistake it for peace. Sometimes silence is a man's way of screaming without making a sound. It's his way of saying, I'm not over you, without ever opening his mouth. Because when a man truly cared, when he really loved, that silence becomes the only way he can deal with losing you. And trust me when I say this, that silence, it speaks volume. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something you might not want to hear but need to. When a man withdraws, when he pulls back and goes quiet, it doesn't always mean he's done with you. It doesn't mean he's over you, and it definitely doesn't mean he's moved on. What it really means, more often than not, is that he's sitting in the middle of his own emotional storm, wrestling with something he doesn't even know how to fix. That silence you're seeing, that distance, that cold shoulder, it might look like rejection, but deep down it's confusion, it's regret, and it's pain. A man will withdraw when he's hurting. He'll fall back when he's afraid of being vulnerable. We're not wired the same. Women talk things out. Y'all process emotions in real time, but most men don't. We weren't taught how to do that. We were taught to suck it up, man up, move on, be strong. But what happens when strong doesn't work? What happens when the woman he pushed away turns out to be the one he needed all along? That's when he goes silent. That's when the world gets real quiet around him and he has to deal with the noise in his own head. See, when a man loses a woman he truly values, he doesn't always come running back. Sometimes he hides. Not because he's happy without her, but because he doesn't know how to face her. He doesn't know what to say. He knows he messed up. He knows he didn't treat you the way you deserve to be treated. He knows he let something real slip through his hands. And instead of stepping forward, he steps back because the weight of what he's lost is too much to carry out loud. You might think he's ignoring you. You might think he's happy in silence, but the truth is, silence is often a man's cry for help that he doesn't know how to let out. It's him staring at his phone, wanting to call, but not knowing if you'll pick up. It's him playing old voice notes just to hear your voice again. It's him going back to old photos, remembering who he was when he was with you and realizing he liked that version of himself better. But he won't say any of this out loud. Pride won't let him. Fear won't let him. So he disappears. Not because he's over you, but because he can't face how much he still needs you. Men process heartbreak differently. We don't fall apart in front of the world. We fall apart in silence. We sit in the car with the music off thinking. We stare at the ceiling at 3 a.m. wondering why we let you go. And yeah, sometimes we even try to distract ourselves. New hobbies, new people, acting like we're good. But that's all noise. That's all surface. Deep down, that man is stuck in a war with his own heart, trying to figure out how he let the best thing in his life slip away. And the worst part, he might never say it. He might never admit it. He might just carry that loss with him, pretending like it doesn't hurt, but it does. So don't be fooled by his withdrawal. Don't be tricked by the distance. Just because a man goes silent doesn't mean he stopped caring. Most times, it means he's still caring way too much. He's just trying to survive the emotional storm he created. He's wrestling with what he lost and trying to make sense of how to live without it. That kind of silence, it's not peaceful. It's not healing. It's a punishment. And the longer it lasts, the more it eats away at him because deep down, he knows he let something real go. Something he might never find again. Ladies and gentlemen, you might be wondering why that man who once seemed so into you has now gone quiet. He doesn't call, he doesn't message, he's not reaching out. You start to think maybe he's over you, maybe he forgot, maybe it didn't mean as much to him as it did to you. But let me break it to you real. Don't you be fooled by that silence. He's still obsessed with you. You just don't see it the way you expect to. See, obsession doesn't always show up in grand gestures or constant communication. No, sometimes it hides in the subtle things, the quiet moves he thinks no one notices. That man is still locked in emotionally, even if he's not saying it with words. He's watching your stories, not liking them, but watching every single one. He's checking your posts, but never commenting. He knows exactly what you wore last night and who was with you, and that's not by accident. He's staying connected to your world through the shadows. He's asking mutual friends about you, but trying to sound casual like it ain't that serious. But it is. Because if you didn't matter, he wouldn't be keeping tabs. If he was really done, he wouldn't care what you're up to. That man still has you on his mind more than he wants to admit, more than he can admit. And the memories, oh, he's holding on to those like they're gold. The way you laughed at his dumb jokes, the way you looked at him when you believed in him, when he didn't even believe in himself, he remembers. He might not tell his boys. He might not show his feelings, but every moment you shared is still playing in the background of his life. He's walking around with a highlight reel of the good times. The way you touched his hand, the way you challenged him, the way you loved him. And the part that hurts him the most, he knows he hasn't felt that kind of connection with anyone else since. A man doesn't always process loss in the open. Most men deal with it internally. They suppress, they distract, they stay busy, but inside they're carrying it. Obsession doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be silent and deep. And when a man realizes he lost something real, something rare, it doesn't just leave his heart. It lingers, it echoes, it haunts him in the quiet moments when he's alone, when there's no one to impress, no distractions, just him and that stillness. That's when it hits the hardest. He may even try to move on. He might date someone new, go out, post pictures, try to convince himself in the world that he's fine. But you can always tell when someone's heart is still tied to the past. There's an emptiness in his eyes, a stiffness in his smile, because replacing the connection he had with you, that's not easy. That's not something you snap your fingers and find again. And deep down, he knows it. He knows what he lost. And the more time passes, the more he realizes he can't recreate it with someone else. He doesn't want you to know he's still thinking about you. That's why he doesn't reach out. That's why he stays silent. Because his pride won't let him admit he messed up. But trust me, he's thinking about you. He's carrying that weight around every single day. And even if he looks calm, even if he looks collected, his silence is just a cover. He's still obsessed, still stuck, still wondering if you think about him the way he thinks about you. And whether he ever tells you or not, that feeling, that connection, it's still alive inside him no matter how quiet he tries to be. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something most people don't understand, especially when it comes to men. A lot of men don't process heartbreak like you think they do. When a woman gets her heart broken, she cries, she talks to her friends, she works through it, she heals in the open. But a man, a real man, He breaks down in silence. He doesn't say a word. He won't show it on the outside, but on the inside, he's falling apart. You might see him walking around like everything's cool. He might post a few pictures acting like life is good, but that's not the full story. Behind that silence, he's holding on to pain so deep, he don't even know how to talk about it. Men aren't always taught to express emotion. We're raised to be strong, to keep it in, to never let anybody see us sweat. So when we lose something real, especially a woman who brought peace, support, and real love, we don't always run around talking about how much it hurts. Instead, we sit in it, quiet, still, pretending we're okay when really we're nowhere close to it. That man could be sitting in a room full of people laughing, but the only thing on his mind is how much he misses what he had. He could be at work, out with friends, even dating someone new, but deep down, your absence is louder than all that noise. You got to understand, when a man really loves a woman and loses her, it don't just go away. It don't just fade. He might not say your name, but your name is still echoing in his mind. He might not talk about you, but every time he walks past a place y'all went together, every time he hears a song that reminds him of you, every time he smells your perfume on somebody else, it all comes flooding back. That's how deep men feel. But most of us have never been taught how to show that emotion, so we bottle it up. We sit in silence, not because we don't care, but because we don't know what to do with what we're feeling. Some people think if a man ain't chasing you, he must not care. Let me tell you something. Some men don't chase not because they don't love you, but because they feel like they already blew it. They feel like they had their shot and they ruined it, so now they retreat. They go into that quiet zone not because they're done with you, but because they don't know how to fix what they broke. That silence is full of reflection, full of pain, full of what ifs, and why did I do that? It's full of guilt and pride, wrestling each other every single day. And you better believe that man is still feeling you. He's still thinking about what you brought into his life. He knows your worth now. He knows what he lost. He just doesn't know how to say it, so he says nothing. And while you're out here thinking he forgot about you, he's sitting in silence, remembering everything. That's why I always say, don't be fooled by how quiet a man gets after the breakup. That silence can be a cover for a whole world of emotions he doesn't have the tools to express. He might not ever show it, might not ever come back and say it, but make no mistake, that silence, that's his way of dealing with the hole you left behind. And the truth is, he's probably more obsessed with you now than he was when you were together, because now he understands. Now he sees the value, the peace, the support, the love, and the fact that it's gone. That's what plays over and over again in that quiet room, in that silent car ride, in that 3 a.m. stare at the ceiling. So don't let that silence fool you. That man's heart is still loud with your name. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the biggest mistakes women make is thinking that a man's silence means he doesn't care. That because he's not calling, not texting, not saying nothing, it must mean he's done. But let me break this down for you. Men and women, we don't operate the same when it comes to emotions. Women tend to express how they feel. They let it out. They talk to someone. They cry it out. They move through their pain with express. But a man, he can be hurting so bad and still not say a single word. He can be losing sleep, missing you like crazy, and yet you won't hear a thing from him. That silence, that's how most men process emotions. That's how we deal.